In the world of aviation, almost every plane you see taking off and land has some way of manipulating its wings to produce more lift at slower speeds. Essentially, when a wing's airspeed decreases too much, its angle of attack must increase to generate more lift. However, increasing your angle of attack creates the risk of stalling, which happens when the air flowing over the top surface of a wing separates. As demonstrated in this video, you can see how these leading edge slats help redirect oncoming air to flow back onto the wing, even at a high angle of attack. Slotted flaps are basically just better flaps, as they reintroduce airflow over the top to be more effective. You can see that typical airliners use multiple elements of flaps to really take advantage of this principle. One day I was looking at a photo of these multi-flap and wing designs and thought, hey, this kind of just looks like a bigger elongated wing. And what if, instead of having a wing split up into multiple sections, you just have each element be its own wing? This should be more effective at keeping airflow over each wing, leading to more lift. Sounds like it should work, and turns out it's been a concept for quite a while now. Around the early 1900s, Handley Page created this extreme multi-element wing concept. As you can see, he was really trying to take advantage of using multiple of these slotted wings to make such an extreme AOA possible. Unfortunately, this concept was never really tried in real life, and even when searching through the internet, I only found like 3 people experimenting with this concept. RC test flights seemed to be the closest in achieving the extremes of Handley Page's design, but I found more interest in trying out what Sam Shepard and Bailey Harris experimented with, which is having multiple wings behave like a normal wing at no AOA, but then take advantage of its slotted wings at high angles of attack, which should in theory make it unstallable. For the build of this plane, I wanted it to be easy to replace the wing so I could see how much a multi-element wing differs from a standard wing. For this, I went to Onshape and designed a simple airframe. This step wasn't entirely necessary, but I find it useful knowing the dimensions of everything instead of just guessing. So right here, I'm cutting the walls of the body out, glued them together with some foam board, and then this landing gear is just some bent aluminum screwed into some plywood. After getting the main body shape, I 3D printed this motor mount and connected it to a standard 1400 kV brushless motor. After that, I added the rudder and elevator. I ended up messing up the dimensions somehow, and my elevator turned out way too small, but I ended up fixing that later. And then to make it easy to access the battery and electronics, I made this hatch out of foam board that would fit snug into the nose. For the actual wings of this craft, I decided to go with a more unconventional approach. Originally, I wanted to hotwire each wing out of insulation foam to get a lighter, more accurate wings. But for whatever reason, I decided not to, probably because it would have been a lot more work. So to keep everything just made out of foam board, I decided to have 2 main wings that would have proper airfoils, and the rest of the elements would just be strips of foam. If I do ever plan to revisit this concept, I will probably spend more time and effort in creating this wing design. Here goes on the aileron servos, and then I curved a strip of foam for the slats, and boom, it's pretty much done. I'm using a 30 amp ESC running on a 2200 milliamp 3-cell. The wing ended up turning a lot fatter and bigger than I wanted. I probably should have designed the wing with the body in the CAD, but oh well. For the CG, I just ended up guessing where I thought it should have been, but this ended up becoming a pretty important factor, as you'll see later in the video.
Oh my god, bro.
So yeah, that was a whole lot of work for nothing. At first, I thought the wing caused the initial roll to the left, but I proved that to be wrong later. But then the sudden left yaw, I have no idea what could have caused that. Maybe the rudder was too small, or has something to do with it not taking off straight. But yeah, pretty weird. I originally planned to fix up the body and then try it out again, but I found out that my RC Slow Cruiser uses a wing of almost the exact same size, so I decided to strap on the multi-wing to its fuselage. Since I know the Slow Cruiser is able to fly, if it can't with the new wing, then I know it's 100% the wing's fault. First impressions were that, yeah, it flew pretty slow, and smooth for that matter. It didn't seem to have any roll bias, which probably means the other crash was caused by something else. But after a few seconds of flying is when problems started to occur. Whenever I did a semi-sharp turn, it would immediately pitch down and stay that way until I added full throttle and full up elevator. But even then, it was a pretty slow recovery. Right here, it pitched straight up suddenly, causing it to go completely vertical and stall. What's cool is that instead of smacking the ground, it seemed to catch itself back in the air, even though it was super close to the ground. For context, here's what it looks like when this plane stalls with a normal wing. But back to the turning problem. After doing more tests, it seemed completely fine on smaller turns, but whenever it pitches down, it is almost impossible for it to recover. And then right here, after doing a left turn to come in for a landing, I wasn't able to get it to pitch back up. My initial thought as to why this problem was happening was due to its angle of incidence. As you can see, the 2 main wings have a slight negative pitch in relation to the aircraft body. My thought is that giving the front of the wing a step will give the wings a higher angle of incidence. I'll explain later why this wasn't the actual issue, but this higher angle of attack of the wing made it more similar to Handley Page's concept, and it had some very wonky flight characteristics. I can't go anywhere. Okay, to be fair, it was a super windy day today, which isn't the ideal conditions for this plane, but it does go to show the complications of having a multi-element wing design fixed. There's a ton of lift, don't get me wrong, but with that comes a lot of drag, so overall its performance was pretty poor. There's a good chance it would fly really well with no wind, but I didn't really end up trying that. I guess the wind helped it not pitch down, but it was pretty clear the angle of incidence was just too high. After that, I removed the extra steps in the front, and that seemed to improve its performance in the wind, but it still didn't fly that well. And most times it flew pretty normal, but sometimes it would still have that sudden pitching down moment. I need so much elevator to keep it up. I don't know, but it might be too nose heavy. This made me suggest it was simply too nose heavy, so I added a bolt in the tail to move the CG back, but the wind picked up way too much and just started flying like a helpless balloon.
It's like I can't control it.
The wing doesn't fly well. I mean, the balance is So after that crash, we decided to wait a little for the wind to calm down. Once we were able to take off again, we were finally getting some better results. It was flying much better with the extra tail weight, but its balance still felt pretty fragile. Like right here, unintentionally, it did a flip, caused from it pitching up too hard, and then right here, as I was about to land, it pitched down hardly and smacked the ground, which really messed up the motor. So in general, I think there were just too many flaws I overlooked. But before I would just throw away the wing, I thought it would be pretty cool to visualize the airflow over a normal wing in a multi-element wing. So for this, I attached some light red yarn. This way we can see how the airflow on the top surface of a wing behaves at different angles of attack. I did the same thing for the normal wing. So yeah, this didn't even come close to working how I thought it would. For one, the camera was mounted too low, so you can only see the first few strings. And second, the strings weren't moving, like, at all. Right here, you can kind of see the strings moving around as I try to stall. But again, it would be better to have a higher view. But this does go to show that the strings are responding to the turbulence of the air, but it's hard to tell. But even though I knew this string thing wasn't really going to work, I decided to put on the multi-element wing. And that flight ended pretty shortly. And once again, we were back to the nosing down problem. I'm pretty sure this happened because while switching the wings, I forgot to add the extra tail weight, but this does make me think that the issue with the pitch is caused from the CG being too far forward. My thought is that since the wing has a higher coefficient of lift, its center of pressure or lift is further back, which means its center of gravity must be further back too. So I was treating the CG as if it was a normal wing. I have no idea if this is true or not because none of the YouTubers who tested this concept out really talked about it, so I really don't know. I was going to do more research, but I ultimately lost motivation in this concept and moved on to other things. I do believe it's a pretty fun idea to mess around with, so I anticipate revisiting it in the future. But that's it for this video, so yeah, bye.